Solving equations, or textbooks call this multi-step equations, but these are the same thing. They both are talking about the same concept. And this is really one of the most important skills in algebra. So the important thing to remember when solving equations is you have to keep that equation balanced. If you don't keep it balanced, you're going to introduce errors into the equation. So whatever operation I perform to the left side, I also have to do the same thing to the right side to keep it balanced. Otherwise, I'm going to get something incorrect. So just looking at my first example here, I'm saying use good algebra skills to solve the equation. What I noticed first is I have two like terms, negative 4x, negative 6x. These are both like terms because they're the same variable, x and x, and they're the same exponent. So really there's an invisible 1, exponential 1 there, but I don't have to write it in. It's just implied. But that means that I can combine these like terms, negative 4x minus 6x. That's going to give me negative 10x to the invisible 1 power. And just bringing down the rest, bring down that negative 20. You know, anything you don't change, just bring it down. So I have negative 20 equals negative 10x. And what I can do here to get rid of this negative 10 is divide both sides by negative 10. So I'm doing the opposite here to get rid of something. If I have negative 10 times x, to get rid of that negative 10, just divide it out. All right, so negative 20 divided by negative 10, these negatives are going to cancel and just leave me with a positive 2. All right, and then negative 10 divided by negative 10, of course, these are going to cancel out, which is what we wanted. We wanted those to go away. And I'm just left with x. X equals 2. Let's look at another one. So here I've got 4m minus 4 equals 4m. And what I could do here, there's more than one way to do this. I could divide both sides by 4 to get rid of these 4s. Or I could subtract 4m from both sides. So let's go ahead and do that. But you can do it either way. You'll get the same answer. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract these from both sides. You're going to notice that these cancel. But also these are going to cancel. So just bringing down everything else, I have negative 4 equals, these both canceled, so I'm just left with 0 on this side. I have negative 4 equals 0. So this, of course, is not true. Negative 4 is not equal to 0. You know, if I owed you $4 and then I said, no, I owe you $0, it's the same thing. We're gonna have problems there. So this is not true. We would say this is no solution. All right, so this one a little bit more difficult. Right away, I notice there's kind of two ways I could go about this. So I've got 6 times all this. I could divide both sides by 6. I could do that. I could also distribute the 6. I could distribute that through the parentheses. And either way that I do that, I'm going to end up with the same answer. So let's just try to do this the easiest way possible and distribute that 6. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 3k is 18k. And I'll just bring down everything else that I didn't change. I'll bring all that down. So bring down the negative 18, the negative 6k. And let's look at what we can change next, right? I could add 6k to both sides to get rid of this negative 6k. Or I could also add 18 to both sides to get rid of that. So it's really just up to whichever way you think is easier. So let's go ahead and add 6k to both sides, all right? So these are going to cancel. I'm just going to be left with that negative 18, bring that down. Same thing with this 6, just bring down that 6. Over here, I've got 18k plus 6k, so this is going to give me 24k. All right, and I'm just trying to get that k, that variable, the letter by itself, to solve the equation. So next, I can get rid of this 6 by just doing the opposite, negative 6 minus 6, all right, to cancel out that 6. Negative 18 minus 6, that is going to give me negative 24. All right, And these are going to cancel, so I could write 0 if I wanted to, or I could just write nothing. And just bringing down the, whoops. And just bringing down that 24K, just like that. So my last step here, again, I want the K by itself. I could divide both sides by 24, all right? So I'm going to divide this by 24, and I'm going to divide out this 24 to cancel those out, all right? So this is going to leave me with negative 24 divided by positive 24 is negative 1, right? A negative divided by a positive, still a negative. And over here, these are going to cancel. 24 divided by 24 is just going to leave that K. So my answer for this would be negative 1 equals K. This would be called a three-step equation, or you could say multi-step equation. The one that we did before this just had one step, really. So this was a one-step equation, even though it had no solution. And the first one that we did, so again, this just had, really this had two steps, right? Because my first step was to combine those like terms. The second step was to divide out that negative 10. So we would call this a two-step equation, all right? But these are all just good examples of how to solve equations.